protein. It's the single most important macronutrient for building muscle, for losing fat, but man, it's also surrounded by the most confusion. How much do you need? What kind is best? When should you eat it? Look, if you've ever felt totally lost in a sea of conflicting advice, you are in the right place. We are about to cut through all of that noise with a super clear, science-backed guide.
So, you think you know protein? Let's really put that to the test. We are going to go head-to-head with the most stubborn myths and confusing questions out there. And I promise, by the end of this, you are going to have a simple but really powerful blueprint for your protein intake to get the best results possible.
We're going to break this all down by tackling 3 simple questions. First up, quality. What kind of protein actually gets the job done? Second, distribution. We're going to bust a huge myth about how much you can actually handle in one meal. And finally, timing, the secret sauce to making it all work even better. Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, quality. This is the foundation, you guys. You can hit your daily protein number, but if the quality is garbage, you're leaving so many potential gains on the table. The simple truth is, not all protein is created equal when it comes to building muscle.
It really all comes down to these guys, the essential amino acids, or EAAs for short. Think of them like this. They're the non-negotiable building blocks. Your body just can't make them on its own, so you absolutely have to get them from your food. They are critical for starting the process of building new muscle, a process we call muscle protein synthesis, or MPS. But here's the real kicker. Among those 9 essentials, there's one that's the MVP. It's called leucine. And leucine basically acts as the primary on switch that signals your body to start building muscle. If you don't get enough leucine in a meal, that switch never really flips all the way on. Here's a super simple way to think about it. The car key analogy. Leucine is the key. It's what you stick in the ignition to start the engine of muscle growth. But a key by itself isn't going to get you anywhere, right? You need fuel. All the other essential amino acids. That's the fuel that keeps the engine running strong. You need both. You need the key and you need the fuel. So this makes our strategy pretty simple, right? We just need to focus on high-quality sources that are packed with leucine and all the EAAs. We're talking about the heavy hitters, whey protein, eggs, meat like chicken and beef, fish and dairy. And hey, for all my plant-based people out there, don't sweat it. A smart blend of rice and pea protein can give you a complete amino acid profile that's every bit as powerful as whey. All right, let's move on to our second big question, which builds right off of this. We know we need high-quality protein, but how should we space it out during the day? And this, my friends, brings us to one of the biggest, most stubborn myths in all of fitness. I am sure you've heard this one before, right? The idea that your body has this hard cap, this 30-gram limit on protein in one sitting, and anything over that just gets wasted. People have literally built their entire diets around this single idea for years. Well, it's time to bust this myth for good. See, this is where everyone gets it twisted. This was never about absorption. Your body is incredible. It'll absorb almost all the protein you eat, no problem. The real question, the one that actually matters for your results, is how much of that protein can be utilized to flip that muscle-building switch we talked about. And the science on this is pretty clear. Now, some early studies suggested 20 grams was the max, but they were using kind of unrealistic workouts, like a few sets of leg extensions. But then, a landmark study in 2016 had people do a real, full-body workout. And the results? 40 grams of whey protein stimulated way more muscle growth than 20 grams. It showed that the more muscle you train, the more protein you can actually put to use. So this brings us to a much smarter concept, one that completely replaces that old myth, the leucine threshold. Instead of some vague, imaginary protein cap, this is a specific, scientific target. It's the exact amount of leucine you need in a single meal to get the absolute biggest muscle-building bang for your buck from that meal. So what's the magic number? Well, research from top scientists like Dr. Stuart Phillips points to roughly 3 grams of leucine per meal to max out that signal, at least for a 170-pound person. Think of it like a dimmer switch for a light. Hitting that threshold is like turning the switch all the way up to max brightness. Any more leucine in that single meal won't make the light any brighter. You've already maxed it out. Okay, so let's make this super practical. You don't need to walk around with a leucine calculator. The easiest and most effective strategy is just to spread your total daily protein across 4 to 6 meals. If you aim for about 30 to 50 grams of a high-quality protein source in each of those meals, you are pretty much guaranteed to hit that leucine threshold every single time. And that keeps that muscle-building engine firing all day long. All right, last piece of the puzzle, timing. We've got our quality protein, we're distributing it throughout the day, but does it matter when we eat it? What about that whole anabolic window thing?
Let's be crystal clear about something. Hitting your total daily protein target for the day is and always will be priority number one. It's the most important thing. If you don't eat enough protein overall, no amount of fancy timing is going to save you. But once you've got that dialed in, smart timing is a pretty powerful tool that can give you a real edge. One of the key concepts to understand with timing is digestion speed. Some proteins, like whey, digest really fast. They cause this rapid spike of amino acids in your blood. Then you have others like casein, which is the other protein in dairy, or a big steak that digests much more slowly. They give you a steady, sustained release of those muscle-building blocks over several hours.
So how do we actually use this? Well, here's one of the most powerful and simple strategies you can start tonight. The longest period you go without protein is when you're sleeping, right? So by having a slow-digesting protein source right before bed, think Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, or a casein shake, you're basically setting up a slow drip of amino acids to your muscles all night long. You're turning 8 hours of sleep into 8 hours of productive recovery and growth.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground. We've talked quality, distribution, and timing. We've busted the myths, we've replaced them with actual science. So now let's put it all together into one simple, actionable blueprint that you can start using today. All right, let's wrap this all up. Here is your 4-step protein blueprint. Step 1, prioritize quality. Focus on those leucine-rich sources we talked about. Step 2, distribute it evenly. Spread your protein across 4 to 6 meals a day to keep that muscle-building signal on. Step 3, hit the threshold. Aim for that 30 to 50 gram sweet spot in each meal. And step 4, time it smart. Use that pre-bed protein trick to recover while you sleep. That's it. That's the game plan. It's simple, it's powerful, and it's backed by science.
So forget all the confusion. Forget the myths. You now have the science-backed blueprint to make protein work for you, to optimize your body's potential. We've solved the mysteries. The only question left is, what are you going to build with it?